You might be wondering, how did I end up here? Well, it's a long story, so let's start at the beginning. I wanted to make threads on wood and found a tool that would cost me $1,000. Yeah, I know, thievery. I'm trying to make a dream project of mine, and making threads on wood is the first part of that dream. If I can't make the threads, I can't make my dream come true. But to give you a small hint...
It works! It works! It actually works!
Okay, so I have an upcoming project. It's like a dream project to me, where I want to make threads on wood! And is that even possible? Yes, of course, and if you ever come across a really old workbench like this, there's a big chance that the vise might just have wooden threads. The only problem is they're really hard to make and require special tools. By the way, this workshop is freaking awesome. Look at how old this stuff is. I started researching on how you would go about doing the threads, but I don't have a lathe, as you can see. And even if I did, I would have no idea how. The other idea was to use a tap and die. Normally that's what you would use on metal. Well, I did find a tap and die specifically made for wood, and that would fit the 44mm dowels I have. But the price? €990. That's just too much for one tool that only lets me do threads on 44mm dowels. Because after this project I might never ever need it again. And I doubt the second-hand value would be as good as like Lego Star Wars. So another downside with the tap and die is that you're using hand force to spin it. Come on, cows! I need to go check the cows. Let's see what they're up to. Go away, go find some food. He's going, what are you looking at? Yeah, go ahead. You guys follow him. Go ahead. Go ahead. Get off. Go ahead. Look at this calf. What's he doing? What are you doing? Why are you in the concrete barrel? Huh? What are you doing? Absolutely ruining my video. Because how could you possibly record a video with your cows in the background screaming? Shut up! Shut up! Which means you also have to rely on really sharp tools, but even then, sometimes the wood will splinter anyways. And to prevent that, a lot of people soak the wood in mineral oil beforehand, which means kind of saturating the wood with oil. But with my method, hopefully, I can still hear the cows. But with my method, come on. Can you hear them? But with my method, hopefully, I won't have to. Now, the problem is I really want to make this project, and the reason I have a 44mm dowel is because I need the dowel to hold a bit of weight. And 44mm was what I could get locally. I did a quick search and found someone who made a 3D printed jig that kind of goes on top of a 60-degree V-bit in the router table. And you simply push the material through, and as soon as it starts cutting, you can start rotating, and it'll rotate into the threads of the 3D print. And that would create the rest of the threads on the dowel. So I guess I'll start there. So I'm designing in Fusion 360, which is a CAD software, and I've made the jig that will accept the dowel, but the problem is that the threads in the software won't really match my V-bit, and actually want the external threads of the dowel to fit the 3D printed threads, if that makes any sense at all. You just have to watch. I don't know why I thought I would be able to do this. I might have to do some actual research before I continue. Maybe this will require too much of my engineering capabilities. I'm not an engineer, by the way. I'm a self-taught idiot in a garage, which isn't a garage, and so there you go. I love my life. Let's get on with it. I spent some time looking at the computer, and then I decided to overcome my fears and just fix it. After some Googling and investigating, I found what could be a solution. See, happy again, like a child. So it kind of feels like hacking the program, but I found the location for the thread sizes in this program, and they were all stored in hidden different XML files, hidden somewhere inside a library of a folder. It's obvious that they don't want you to tamper with these files, but who cares? So I figured I'd just make my own XML files with my own measurements. So I've changed the thread sizes, and now when I go to make the threads, I can choose my own thread size file, which is right there in the program, and it creates the threads I want to make, which is, look at it, it seems to work, but will it work in real life? Okay, so here's the idea. I have my 3D printed jig, I've clamped it down. I have another jig that I 3D printed right here. It's just a hole to guide the dowel so that I push it straight towards the bit. I've replaced my fence with this 2x2 to be able to clamp these parts. I've raised the bit so that it's the same height as the 3D print. And yeah, I think I'm ready to try it out. And what could possibly go wrong? So the problem is that it won't start threading. So it might just actually be the location of the jig, so I'm just gonna move it slightly closer to the threads. And then just try again. It's not gonna work, is it? Where's the other jig? Try again, please. It's not working. It's not working. I mean, it looks like threads, but it's not threading on. I was naive thinking this would work, but it doesn't. So I think I have an idea. I'll go back in software and change the location of the threads so that they're actually in the center of the hole where the bit is. I think that's it. I'll just try it. Okay, so here's the new jig. I'm gonna try it out. Now I have the threads starting at the center, so hopefully that will do its thing. So I'm just gonna align it, clamp it down, and let's get to work. Slightly off like that. Maybe that'll do it. It's just cutting the edge. I don't think this is actually gonna work. I think the problem with this idea is that I need to force the dowel into the threads of this 3D print. It would be better if they were just cut freely and just like this, right? If I could cut them like this, like if the threads were here instead of there, that would work. Another option would be to raise the bit up a bit, but then grind down the absolute tip. But that seems like ruining all my options if I break the bit. So I'll do that as a last resort if nothing else works. Like, that guy on Thingiverse obviously made it work, right? But then again, his dowel did not look to be 44 millimeters thick, so that might have something to do with it as well. Or he was just a better engineer. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an engineer. I'm a teacher, for God's sake. I need to think a bit and come back to this, because right now I can't. For some reason, I'm drawn towards the cows when I need to think. Kom da. Kom da. And one of them seemed drawn towards me as well. As his crew left, he stayed with me. And all of a sudden, I had an idea. Actually, like, if I put the threads on the outside of the dowel and somehow have a jig that I can spin it through, that might work. That might actually work. See, the cows can actually be good for something, but they are making a lot of noise. They are. Okay, new plan. I have 3D printed this, which goes on top of the dowel, and I already know a couple of issues. One, this is so tight, I can't get it off. So for the next version, I need to change that. It can't be this tight. Second of all, it's gonna go through this, which is going to spin on the threads. That way I can just spin this through the router bit without having this part going into the threads some way. I'm just gonna clamp this down, give it a try, and I really hope this works. I really hope this works. And as before, I have an extra 3D printed piece just for support. This was progress. It actually looked a bit like threads, but the bit height was off, but I had too little support, so I decided to print a new jig. This time with a hole in it for a screw to attach it to the dowel and give it a try. Okay, so this time around I've attached the threads on the outside with a screw, made them a bit looser so they would come on the dowel easily. This feels, yeah. I've got the thread box, I've got the support box. This time though, I'm gonna do it a bit differently. I'm gonna have the support box at the front by the bit and the threads way back, because I realized they don't need to be at the front, so. Excited, let's try it. I hope. I have some confidence at least. I have some, I shouldn't say hopeful, but rather confident.
It works! It works! It actually works! Oh, it works! What?
Look at it, that doesn't look too bad at all, does it? I mean, I think I need to go a bit higher with the bit, but that's not too bad. I mean, look at this. With a bit of sanding, let me show you. This looks so good. Could you see that? That's so good. Now for the final project, this is going into a 3D printed part, so I need to print the internal threads to make sure that this fit. Okay, moment of truth. I have the internal threads 3D printed. It's very important that they fit this, otherwise this project won't work. Before I go there, I think there's something I need to tell you. You can also 3D print if you don't have a 3D printer. With the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. They do that for you. Ain't that crazy? You upload your file to their website, choose the material, choose the color, and then they will ship it straight to you. Vad säger du nu då? They're just great, so check the link in the description for a $5 welcome bonus. Thank you PCBWay, and now back to the 3D printed threads. Should we try? Here we go. Does not want to go. Doesn't fit. I bet Jesus could do this with hand tools. What if Jesus had a 3D printer? That would be cool. So this entire project leans on me getting the perfect internal threads to go on the wooden threads. If I can't do that, I will just have to rethink the entire project. And I so badly want this to work. But already here, I mean, I have saved myself $1,000 of tools by making this 3D printed jig to make the external threads. Just so we're clear, I'm gonna fix this because I need to go into the software and adapt the internal threads in the XML file I showed earlier, and then hopefully we can get it to fit. All right, new one printed, ready to go. Let's give it a shot. Please, come on. Is that? Won't you look at that? It's a bit snug. It's too snug, but I mean, it actually works. It's going in the threads. How cool is this? Goes on there, and it's not too snug. We did it! We did it! To make the threads longer, I tried printing 2 sets of threads. I had them threaded onto the dowel, and then I just kept routing the entire length, and I ended up with this. Now, the clip. Well, as a YouTuber, you need to think about the thumbnail. And I thought it would look cool if I held the dowel with the threads, looking over the treetops and the sky. So I climbed the mountain, but accidentally dropped the dowel. The dowel rolled off the mountain, and unfortunately I have no footage of that. I had to climb down. Eventually though, I did get to the dowel, and fortunately for me, no dowel was damaged during the making of this video.